I'm Nina with Walla Stamping. Thank you for joining me today. So question, do you ever see a card that you really like, but it's not for the occasion you need it to be for? So how would you turn that card into one that you need for your specific occasion? Take, for example, this little card that I made. It was for mine and my husband's anniversary, and I like it, but let's say that I need one for a birthday. How am I going to turn this card into a birthday card? Well, stay tuned and I'll show you how it's done. Here is the card that I made for my 25th wedding anniversary, and it is going to serve the purpose of being our inspiration card today. So we're going to take this card and we're going to flip it into a birthday card. So let me show you what all you're going to need in order to do that. We're going to start out with a piece of Whisper White for this card, and this is my card base. It is cut to 8.5 by 5.5. Then we're going to need a couple of pieces to make the little medallion with. One piece is 3.5 by 3.5, and then the second is 2 by 2. And then I'm going to need an additional piece that's 4.5 by 3.5. Now of basic black, we're going to need a piece that's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. 3.5 by 3.5, 2 by 2, and 3 1/4 by 2. Then I have the Broadway bound Specialty Designer Series paper. Now this is a double-sided paper, and I think that either one would be fantastic for doing a birthday card with. Let me share this example with you. So this is one that I created just like this one, but I used this side and I went with some real red instead of black. And then I also used the gold foil paper instead of the silver. So this is just an idea for you of how versatile this paper could be to create two cards exactly alike, different color scheme, just by switching the side of the paper that you're going to use. But for today's card, we're going to stick with this side. Then I've also got a piece of some silver foil, and this is 3.5 by 1 3/4. Now to cut out the 25, which I'm just going to stick with 25, I've just got a couple pieces of some basic black scraps here. As you can see, I've been using that to cut those out because I want these numbers to be thick, kind of like chipboard. I'm going to cut 3 of each number out. So let me set this aside and we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we'll do is go ahead and get our stamping done. Now let me share with you the 2 stamp sets that I'm going to be using today. So these are the 2 stamp sets that I'm going to be using today. They are brand new. This one is called Swirly Frames, and this one is called Broadway Birthday, which actually coordinates with the Designer Series paper that I'm using today, and it also has a set of framelits that goes with it. Now the Swirly Frames are perfect for making backgrounds or using as frames, of course, for stamping an image or a sentiment inside. And there's some stamps in here that are just lines that you could use to further embellish your card that you're stamping. I can see myself using these a ton. And then of course we have the Broadway Birthday. So cute. This one is perfect for any kind of birthday celebration, young and old alike. I love the fonts that are used with the sentiments, and then we have where we can make a little ice cream cone, a party hat, a balloon with the little string, a candle. Such a cute set to use for birthdays. So the ink I'm going to use is my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'm going to start out with one of the Swirly Frames, and this is the square one. I'm going to get that inked up and then stamp that onto my largest piece of paper. Next, I'm going to use my largest circle from the same stamp set. Get that inked up. Stamp this one on my next size down paper. Then finally, I will use the smallest circle and get that one stamped on my smallest piece of paper. Kind of reminds me of Mama Bear and Papa Bear, doesn't it? To cut out these circles, I'm going to be using my layering circles framelits, and I'm using the largest and the 6th from the largest circle. Now I have the same size scallop circles, and I'm going to cut those out of my basic black. While I have my big shot out, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out 3 sets of numbers. So 3 number 2s and 3 number 5s. Now what I use to cut my numbers out with is the large numbers framelits. These are retired, but I know if you've been stamping any length of time, you probably have either these or another set of numbers that you could use to cut out. Now what I've done here with my 3 number 2s and my 3 number 5s is just put some adhesive on there and then just stick one on top of the other. Now as you can see, I have just dotted my glue because I don't want so much glue on there that when I put these together that glue comes squishing out from the sides. I want just enough to hold them together without making a mess. So there we go. Now this step you can leave out if you choose, but I thought that it added just a little more pizzazz to this card. So I've got my light smoky slate Stampin' Blends marker. I'm going to open the end that shows me this wide, more of a brush tip. I'm just going to take that and go back and forth inside both of these circles just to give myself a little extra color. But again, like I said, that is a step you do not have to do if you don't want to. If you have other markers besides the Stampin' Blends, certainly you could use those. Just go with a color that's not going to compete with your numbers. So what I'm going to do now is just stick these together. Used snail to do that with. Now in order to attach my number 2 and number 5 to my card, you can use liquid adhesive or you can use dry adhesive if you want to. And I start out by placing the numbers onto the area where I'm going to stick those down, and then I pay attention to which part of the numbers are actually touching this smaller circle. So I can see here that it's this part of the 2 and this part, and then this, here, and here. So that's the only place that I'm going to be putting adhesive. I'm just going to use some snail to do this with. On my other card I actually used some liquid adhesive, but you can use whatever you like. Now the reason that I'm putting this on here in this manner is because there is a little bit of difference in height between the 2 layers of cardstock here and the one that they're stuck to. So I want my numbers not to be stuck down all the way so that they do look like they're kind of raised up off the surface just a little bit. Now what I want to do is go ahead and get my panels layered on there. Now between this layer and the card base, there is just barely like maybe a 1/16 of an inch of a border all the way around. Then I'm going to take my Broadway bound cardstock and layer that on top of that one. Then I'm going to take my scissors and just fussy cut out this rectangle. Moving on, I'm going to use my banner punch, and I'm going to banner each of the ends of my piece of basic black that's 2 inches wide, and I always flip it upside down to make sure that I do have that centered. And I have to say that this banner punch is a great punch to have in your stash. Now if you don't have a banner punch, you can still make a banner, and what you do is you would cut up the center of your paper like this, which would end up being right like that, and then you would just cut from the outside corner in here and then the outside corner in here, which that is doable. But if you can use a punch and get it done in the matter of a couple of seconds, then why not use a punch? That's what I say. Okay, so we've got our card base together. What I want to do now is go ahead and put this in place, and we're going to attach this right down here in this lower left corner. Just like that. Then I'm going to just I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to attach these two pieces together. I want to make them both even at the top and then have an even border on either side. Then we'll go ahead and attach these together. But I'm not going to stick that down permanently right now. I just want to lay that in place. That looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and push that down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive on the back here. And I'm going to lay this in place right here. But just like I did just a second ago, I'm only going to barely stick that down because I want to make sure that I have room to stamp both of my sentiments. And I think I'm going to have to move this just slightly. That should give me some room. I hope I didn't get my head in the way just then. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and use my Memento black ink. I haven't used this stamp yet, so I'm going to try to get it seasoned just by rubbing my finger over it. And that should give me a better stamped image. So I'm going to stamp this right here, just underneath the banner. And then my wish, I'm going to stamp the wish right here. And so there our card is complete. Let me bring in the card that I used for my inspiration. So as you can see, you've got basically the same card, but you've turned this one into a birthday card by adding the Make-A-Wish and making room for that by turning your banner to the side. Now this is pretty generic, but let's say you wanted this to go to a female. What could we do to possibly dress that up? One of my favorite things is to add a few rhinestones because I love rhinestones. So all I'm going to do is just take a few and stick them here and there just to glitz this card up a little bit and have it have a more feminine appeal and feel to it. So let's just do that. Oop, that one got away from me. And well, let me just show you this while it is out. You could always color your rhinestones if you wanted to add some color to them. I just used one of my Stampin' Blends markers to do this with, but if you don't have Stampin' Blends, you could use a Sharpie or something like that if you choose. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial today. I hope that you learned something new. If you enjoyed the tutorial and you want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that little bell so that anytime I post a new video, you'll get a notification. Also, in order to get the measurements along with a list of supplies, visit my blog at wallastamping.com. And while you're there, make sure you get signed up for my newsletter. So thank you again for stopping by. I'm Nina with Walla Stamping. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.